Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakodash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders, GMS, who ruled well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Aina. The title of the video is Whatever You Do, Don't Take the Chip. I was going to title it Don't Take the Chip. This is something that I sometimes say when I end the call on people that I have spoken to, that, maybe a family relative or an old friend or something like that, that I have, told the truth to, but they, the spirit didn't do anything with them. If we talk or whatever the case may be, I usually end up with a conversation that's saying, don't take the chip. Or I may hang up on that person. It's like, whatever, don't take the chip in my mind, because I don't say it so many times, because these people that's going to take the chip is basically dead man walking, basically, as they say. All right, and with this video right here, and as you can see, I'll just talk about this. Now, I did a video on this before. It was something along the lines of, for $9.99 you can you can end your life or something like that. I don't remember what I titled it, but it was something like that, because this device, RFID chip, is the MOTB, right? Mentioned in Revelations chapter 13, verse 16. All right, which the government will push on the world, right? And they already have it and it's ready. As you can see, I could buy it right now, all right, and get it shipped right to my door. And then you probably will take it to a pro installer, like a tattoo shop or something like that, and they'll do it for you, whatever the case may be. But again, this is a device that they will push on the whole world, and pretty much, it's ready. They have this. Like I said, they have this already. They have this, the Karox, which is the thing they're gonna put this inside of that. I'm putting this video, right, and it's ready. Donald Trump is saying things like, we have he said we have 4 weeks until tank bottoms, basically, until there's no more fuel or oil here in America, or they're not making enough of it, So things are going to get bad here in America. And he also said that if this deal doesn't go through with Iran, expect, a depression, a great depression here in America. So we know and understand that the scriptures say that when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, right? And they shall not escape. So there's going to be no peace, right? What we're going to be entering into is basically Jacob's trouble. We're witnessing the beginning stages of this, Jacob's trouble, right? And it's about to go full blown. And the process of this, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know the lights, most likely, rolling blackouts, things like that, martial law. All these things can take place, the World War III brewing behind the scenes, because, again, he said if the deal doesn't go through, I don't want to make it too long. I just want to play the video about the chip, which I gave you this right here. The website is right there. You can check it out, But anyway, if the deal doesn't go through, then, expect a Great Depression. But also, if the deal doesn't go through, expect war to continue behind the scenes. Even if the power goes out, the power goes out, we don't see, and that goes into Amos 8 and 11 too. All hell breaking loose, which is going to a famine of the word, Amos 8 and 11. So you have all hell breaking loose. We won't be on the internet. We definitely won't be outside while people are murdering and killing each other, and things like that. But at the same time, war is going to be happening on the outside. And we know the scriptures say that Russia is going to be a guardian to Iran. So whatever is going to take place while it's dark, we know that Russia and China is going to get involved and whatnot. The different sides are going to be picked, right? And eventually nukes will fly, And at the same time, here things in America is deteriorating. And, they try to bring in the solution, which is that MOTB, right? So this is just another warning, just going into again. And here Here's the whole setup. This is everything you're gonna see. The actual chip and the device that puts the chip into your body, right? Which I pulled this up, First Thessalonians 5:3 says, "For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." All right, so it's gonna be destruction, it's gonna be war, right? So expect what Trump said, a Great Depression, and the oil running out, because you know it's no peace or safety. This is Revelation 13 and 16. It says, "And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free, abundant, bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in their foreheads." Now, this mark here is the charagma. So I can, right, charagma. Right, it says a stamp or imprinted mark is going to be imprinted inside of your skin. What's going to do that? The karox. So you get the root word here, karox. All right. It goes a pale or steak, palicide. Okay. So a pale or steak, going back to this image here, clear as day. This is the karox. This is the charagma. If you see this, this is the microcoehip, right, mentioned in Revelations, the 13th chapter that I just read to you. The karox is the delivery device. The charagma is the actual mark, which is a digital device, which they will attempt to put into your body. All right. Revelations 13 and 16, he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the name of his name. All right, so you won't be able to buy or sell without this device. Without this device, and from extrapolation a little bit, in a collapsed society is when they're gonna bring forth this chip. When all hell is breaking loose and things are rationed. Even if they was to give you something, if they were to give you something, it would have to be if you had this chip. So you won't be able to buy or sell or operate in society unless you had this chip. All right, and where's the scripture at? Let me see. All right, so this is what I want to get to. This goes into the chip because, as you can see, the scripture here is explaining a period of turmoil, right? Chaos, anarchy, and whatnot. Okay, this is Second Ezra chapter 16, verse 68. It says, "For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols," which goes into the microcoehip, right? The charagma, right? Which is the mark, right? And a lot of you are idle because you're not knowing what's going on. You're not on your watch. You're not prophets, men of the Lord. You're not a part of the great multitude, because you're not watching it and waiting for what's to come, basically. It says, and they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and reproach and trodden underfoot. A state of confusion, and whatnot. You get this way derision here. A mockery, scorn, right? Says derision is the act of mocking, ridiculing, or treating someone or something with intense contemptuous scorn. All right. So verse 69, again, Second Ezra chapter 16, verse 69 says, "And they that consent to them shall be had in derision and reproach and trodden underfoot, worthless." You know, for there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. These are all Israelites. We all fear the Lord, right? Because we belong to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. As simple as that. That is what it's talking about. Right? It says they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. All right. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of the houses, right? So when this is going on, it's going to be, martial law, anarchy and turmoil and things like that, And even now, we see a small portion of that with the ICE agents, And as we can see, people are riots or uproars of the people are happening because of this, and whatnot. All right. Says, then shall be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire, because ultimately the Most High Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is going to lift up that standard. All right, was it Isaiah 49 or 50 and 19? Isaiah 59 and 19 says, so shall they fear the name of the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushua from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushua shall lift up a standard against him. All right, so the Most High is going to protect his elect, right? Those of you that are idle, right, not a part of those elect, you're going to be had in derision and trodden underfoot, right? And take this device, which again, this is the Karax, which is the device that puts the charagma inside of you. So if you see this combination of items in front of you and someone trying to give it to you, do not take it. All right, Revelations 13 or 14 and 9 says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, which is poured out without mixture, right, into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone, which is the nuclear missiles that will be shot, right, in this war, which is World War III, right? Which is now, happening between, America and Iran, which is one side. And then right now you have Iran and Russia, and also China is helping Iran, right? Then you have other players like NATO and EU joining with Russia, but the nuclear missiles are going to be shot on Israel and on America. So this is the fire and brimstone, right? Pursuant to Matthew 24, Yahushai, Lord King Yahushai pulls up in the midst of this and beams his elect, right, up into the chariots, right, for a ceremony. We're going to be beamed up into the chariots and brought to the fathership, right, which is a gigantic chariot for a ceremony, right? And the rest of you will be here tormented with fire, right? Revelations 14 and 10, it says, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels. Why and how? Because the angels will be here. And in the presence of the Lamb. Why and how? Because Yahushua, the Lamb, will be here. All right. So, let me grab this video. It's posted 7 years ago. This is Sweden. All right. And, I was asking a ton of questions, like just data centers questions and things like that. Like, for instance, China is considered a surveillance state, but Sweden is not considered a surveillance state. But Sweden has the microchip, and China does not. So that's why I say things like the chip is already ready, and data centers are like a wet dream, and all of that for these devils to like really control and track everything, but they won't have time to do any of that, and pretty much all nations are ready for it. AI for the most part is being used as like these chat services, like brothers say AI will govern the government and whatnot. They'll just use AI for that. AI might select targets to shoot and things like that. You know, it's kind of different. When you think about it, you can think about Iron Man and Jarvis, asking the questions and doing things for him. That's how the governments will use like AI. Eventually you can probably have a machine where you can talk to it and say, hey, go pinpoint fucking Daniel or whatever the case may be, right? And the AI machine will know where Daniel at because of the chip, but that's just a wet dream, that these devils won't fully get to have. All right. The real testing is this micro C here. That's all it is. And we're here. This is Revelations 3 and 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth, right? The temptation here goes into trial. And this trial is this device right here, whether you're going to take it or you're not going to take it. All right. So you should be praying to Yahweh Bashem Shai right now. You should be seeking the Lord while he may be found, because he, is about to be, and you can find him now through his prophets. But pursuant to Amos 8 and 11, that day is coming, where the prophets won't be there to give you an answer, about what's happening. You have to be sealed beforehand, because during this time now, the brothers and whatnot, will have spiritual power to heal and things like that. Scriptures say in the day of thy power, the people shall be willing. So believers are going to see events taking place that brothers are doing and cause them to believe. This Amos 8 and 11 says, behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord, and shall not find it. And that's the famine of the hearing the word, because right now you can seek to and fro and find it. We're all over the internet, which is another video I want to eventually go into. Just regarding the fact that everything took off. Going around this event, this Juneteenth event, which I think is very disrespectful. I just don't fuck with. I don't like that at all. But the last slave freed, from that time, about 50 years or so, you had the commandment keepers. Another 50 years or so, you had Alba Bivens step on scene. 20 to 10 years more, you had the internet created, right, in 2007, which was about another, because like 80, 89 or whatever, some 20 years or whatever. The YouTube, and then 19 years later or so, now here we are. All right, and we're at the end, So I forgot what I was saying, but that was the lesson I'm gonna do. All right, this is Amos 8 and 11. It says, behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai, that will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai, and shall not find it. All right. Because at that time, the prophets would be, covered, not speaking anymore. You're just performing miracles, In that day shall the fair virgins and young men faint for thirst. They that swear by the sin of Samaria and say, thy God, O Dan, liveth, the man of Bathsheba liveth, even they shall fall and never rise again. So you people that trust in your idols and trust in Esau, Edom. All right, here's the video. I'm gonna play the whole thing. This is Sweden. Again, it's posted 7 years ago, so obviously it's been 7 years since this period, so more people have obviously got chipped, The
most cutting edge thing about Hannes Querblad isn't the phone in his hand, it's the microchip actually in his hand. The tiny implant is the latest advance in a biohacking technology that is steadily becoming a part of normal life in Sweden.
We have created a new implant, which is not a chip, it's a full device where you can add different lights, different vibration, different functions. Sweden is a very tech-literate society. And I think this is the main explanation, really, why a lot of Swedes are adopting chip implants.
Swedes haven't been shy about upgrading themselves with the new version. Thousands already have microchip implants that they use in their daily lives, waving their hand to gain entrance to the gym, confirm their ID, or make payments. A short moment of pain not putting them off becoming part Swede, part machine. This event is an implant party, simply where ordinary people can show up and get a microchip embedded under their skin. The biohacking movement in Sweden is hosting them all over Europe, but it's at home where they get the most willing recipients.
I think it's really cool. You don't have to carry any keys or anything. It's just your body. In maybe 10 years, everything would be in your hand.
In Sweden, more than anywhere else, the future is already here. The national train company SJ has around 2,600 people signed up to use microchips instead of train tickets. And no need to mind the generation gap. 18-year-old Felicia and father Magnus still bear the scars of their new implants. Student Hannah Herving is also freshly chipped and now just needs to program it to open doors. Although importantly for a future career, it does already connect to her LinkedIn.
Some people say I'm mad that I don't know if it's safe and all that, but people have been putting these chips into animals for 20 years, so I'm not worried about that.
The long-term goal is for the new chips to help provide medical care in remote communities. They're already getting under the skin of the Swedes. They may soon become just another normal part of modern life and of the human body. Paul Rees, Al Jazeera, Lund, Sweden.
Yep, there you go, right there. You know, so at the time of the Lord's choosing, this device will cause cancer and canker sores and all of that. You know, they've been testing it and nothing seems to be happening, but that's how you know, and that's how, you know, I look at it and I say it's a spiritual thing. The Most High Yahweh Bashim Shah is in control, you know, all right? So he's holding that thing back, right, until the time of his choosing. This is Revelation 16:1. Says, and I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the seven angels, go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of Yahweh upon the earth. See, so the first one out and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. All right, so this noisome and grievous sore goes into like a cancerous, type of thing on your skin, which is going to happen at the Lord's time, when he wants that thing to happen. All right. Because we see people with it right now and nothing isn't happening, So, Lord willing, you are edified from the lesson. Shalom to the whole elect, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.